All right, neat. Lovely. We're changing it up. We got two mics today.
We got microphones now, guys. This is turning into a real production.
We're making it big here. So remember to like and subscribe, please.
Please, because camera gear is expensive, and we're doing this for the fun of it.
Yes. Yeah, we're not trying to earn any money here. We're just trying to catch some fish and talk to you guys about it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
So where do we start?
Yesterday
let's go through
was
yesterday.
a day.
A day.
A whole lot happened.
Ups, downs.
Probably the most eventful day one of a trip of any of the trips that I've ever probably done in my life.
Yeah, that was lots of highs, one big low.
Yeah, really big low.
We'll get into it, but man, let's just start the day off with waking up, eating a delicious breakfast.
Oh, dude. So we had some leftover steak from the night before. So instead of sad Bob Evans breakfast sausage, we had nice chopped up New York strip steak burritos, steak and egg burritos. So that was, we don't mess around here at the Life Outdoors camp. We're cooking good food for pretty much every meal, except lunch. We have dry sandwiches for lunch.
Yeah, sandwiches for lunch, but hey, we don't have time to eat lunch.
We don't have time to mess around.
Water.
We're filming and fishing. Yeah. You can't mess around for that.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, okay. So we woke up.
Had our nice breakfast sandwiches, ate
breakfast.
burritos by the creek.
Yep.
Just kind of enjoyed the vibes, and then packed up. We finally found like a good solution for all the gear that we have for the truck. Got things nice and organized, and then it was just a short little drive on down to our parking spot where we ended up having, what did we do, 1.4 miles hiking in?
Yeah, it wasn't as far as we had thought. Initially, it felt really short.
Yeah.
Coming out felt way longer, but it didn't seem like, we thought we intended to hike 4 miles. There was a destination that we wanted to go to, and as we were making it through, we're looking at the water along the trail, and we're thinking, man, this all looks...
It's getting skinnier and skinnier.
Looks really skinny.
Yeah.
The further we're making it upstream on the stream we're walking, the skinnier it's getting. And we're not seeing any fish at this point. We've had a lot of high overlooks over the stream where we can see down in. We're not seeing fish rising, and it just looks really shallow. So we come to the conclusion in our walk, so as soon as we find some deep water, we need to at least give it a shot.
Yeah. So we ended up seeing something that looked interesting to us from the map, checking on X, and found a little game trail to pop down to the river and hop on in. Sure enough, like, first few spots are super shallow, but there's this little braid that just looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah. The braided channel was awesome. Lots of big cobbles, nice gravel bar.
Yeah.
And there were these, I don't know, how big were they? 20-foot tall boulders? I mean, monster
massive
boulders.
Yeah.
And these boulders, where the water would hit these boulders, it scoured out a nice pocket. And this pocket was the first spot we had seen along this hike where the water wasn't clear, it was blue. So we knew there was some depth there. Yeah. And it was coming off of the first one was coming off of a really nice riffle down into a deep run. So, I mean, all of you that are watching have probably fished for trout or are interested in doing it. That's a classic spot to catch fish.
Yeah.
You get a nice deep run coming off of a riffle. That spot's going to hold fish if you're in trout country.
Yeah, and so Murphy hasn't caught a west slope. So I'm saying I'll start with the camera, you start on the rod, and he goes up to this first hole. Oh my God. He goes up to this first hole, and it's just like immediately a little fish hits him right in the tail out of this deep pool. So he's fishing it smart. He's starting at the back end of the pool, making sure that he's not like spooking fish by lining them. First cast, he gets a hit. It's like too small of a fish, so none of us were expecting him to hook it.
No,
because we're throwing these big, size 8 flies.
8, 6. Yeah. I mean, it's the size of the top knuckle of your thumb. Yeah. It's a huge fly.
Yeah. So Murphy keeps like working his way up. I'm like peeking through the camera lens, peeking through, like watching his dry fly, watching where I'm got the film going. It's just like
we just kept casting up, moving our way, picking it apart, fishing the close edge, fishing from the back. Moving up because we knew as soon as we were going to get into the really good spot, after that first cast we had a bite, it was like, okay, yeah, we're going to catch something in here. And then I proceed to miss, how
Yeah,
many
I think
fish?
he had like 4 or
five
5.
bites
Yeah,
maybe, and
5
one of them was an absolute.
He had 2 fish that came up that were really good size.
really
One
big
of them was a
fish.
bruiser, at least a 15.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching him do this, and you only have so much patience. I love you, but once you see like 5 bites go, I saw one pool above him. I said, "Hey, I'm just gonna leave the camera rolling.
Just go up there and fish.
I'm gonna pop into this one because everybody wants to just shake the dust off and get their first fish
for sure."
And so I pop up there. First cast, I notice a fish. Kind of eyeball my fly, kind of ignore it. So I'm like, okay, there's definitely a fish in here. Throw another cast in. He just comes up and clobbers it. I'm like expecting it, so I wait the perfect amount of time. I set the hook. Everything felt so right. I look back at Murphy. I've got like everything on film, and the fish is flopping in front of me, and then it just pops right off. And I'm like, okay, well, that kind of sucks, but that was also really cool.
So, roaring start. Jake and I have a bad habit of when we find a spot, we get ourselves married to the spot, and we have a hard time breaking away from that. And so we this little pocket of water, you guys will see it here in the film. It was not big. No. It was maybe 20 feet across by maybe 40 feet long. It was a small pocket into this massive, skinny, braided channel. It's like, we got to go find something different because we just honestly sucked it up real bad in this spot. We need to go find different water with some fresh fish, and then we can circle back around and hit it on our way out. So we walk up to the top of the braid, try some fishing up there. Very, very shallow, same deal. So we pop up an Onyx again, and Jake spots another spot that looked good on the other side of the braid. So we start heading down there.
And it looked good.
It looked good.
Yeah. We knew we were going to get some fish in there, so we set camera up. I had first go at it because Murphy had fished the last spot first, and we were going to do just like a take for take. So you either get a take and catch a fish, or you get a take and you get out and give the next person the rod. So I go in, I make a few drifts on the close side, work my way across, smack a rock on the far side, and as soon as it rolls past that rock, I just see this mouth come up and I thought it clobbered it. I thought I had it for sure. Set the hook, nothing on there. And so I know the fish hadn't got stung or anything. I immediately put my rod down, switch up with Murphy. He goes in there, and he's fishing same exact spot, different fly. Nothing. No juice at all. And so after a little while, I jump back in. I make one more cast up to that same rock with my fly, hook up to a real nice, probably 12, 13 inch West Slope cutthroat, and that's the opener fish for the Idaho send.
The first one, so we got a nice release shot on that, and
absolutely beautiful fish.
Gorgeous fish. Nice, good dark red cuts on him, good spots.
Yeah.
They're really like what a rainbow trout wants to be. That's kind of been one of our conversation topics here. It's like a cool rainbow trout, but they are. That was a very pretty fish to see. So emotions are on high. We're jacked. We made this hike out here. We found some spots that held some fish. So here comes my turn. We deduced that Jake's fly Jake had a white parachute on his fly, the big fly. They're both the same size fly and same pattern, but I had a pink parachute on mine. And I burnt that pink parachute fly through that same hole, I don't know, 20 drifts and nothing. So I'm like, I got to switch it up. So I switch over to a much smaller, but still large, like a size 10 caddis fly. Because we were seeing some more normal size caddis flies flying around, not those giant October caddis, but
we were seeing those too.
We were seeing those, but a lot more of those smaller caddis flies.
Yeah.
So I switched to that. And I just thought in the back of my head, I'm thinking back to the Colorado send. Man, that midge was a faithful friend. So I'm going to try a midge dropper off this. So get 18 inches, 5X, and drop the little tiny size 20 red midge down below it. And first cast in there, fish comes up, slurps the midge right there.
This is I have the drone in the air because I'm like, okay, I'm going to sit until he catches a fish now.
Yes.
And so I throw the drone up in the air while he's doing this. We get a beautiful fight.
Oh, yeah.
On drone footage, the whole deal, like hook set, everything. Land in the fish. It's a gorgeous fish.
Gorgeous. First West Slope for me. Yep. So another salmonid species.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Another salmonid species checked off the list. for your boy. So that was very exciting. So Jake continues with his drone shot. I proceed to catch another fish, this time on my dry fly. So this pocket had a handful of fish in it. We're having a good time. Jake's getting his B-roll footage. And then
disaster strikes.
Disaster.
I'm sitting there flying my drone, and I'm skirting tree line. I know I'm skirting tree line. My drone has the sensors on it. Normally it's super accurate. I feel good about where I'm flying. I didn't think I was in a danger zone. And then all of a sudden, it just midair starts tumbling. And I'm just saying, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Murphy's in the water.
I'm like, what?
He's like, what's going on?
What is happening? Why are you oh noing?
I'm just watching the screen of the drone tumble, which you want it to tumble. You don't want to get the drone stuck in a 70-foot pine tree. But I'm like, was I over the water? And I'm thinking of a million things while I'm watching this screen tumble. And sure enough, it just sits right in a patch of brush and stops.
Bright orange brush.
Yeah.
And that's really the last thing you see.
Yep.
Functional from that drone screen.
Yeah. So we got the bright orange brush. We had the GPS coordinates. I'm already packing up while it's like flying through the air, falling down. Murph's like, what's going on? I'm like, crash the drone, dude.
We gotta go. We gotta
go. And so we're sprinting. It's 1,000 feet away. We're like running downstream with our full gear list. I've got the camera like slung over my shoulder. And we're walking around. I know around where I was flying. We're walking around, and it's like, it's up the freaking hill.
Yeah, well, we didn't know that at first. So we get up there, and we can see the dot.
Yeah.
But the way the drone mapping goes, you don't have a satellite image. You don't have any way to really
have northwest, south.
You don't. There's no cardinal direction. You just see your dot and the drone dot.
Yeah. So we have to like go a few feet this way, try and like geolocate. And right before we lose signal to the drone, we get an idea. I say it's this direction up this hill, and then the drone signal cuts. So we had a perfect GPS location with our location on the map, and for some reason, the drone just disappeared off the map.
Just shuts it off. And so we knew that we're kind of along this line. We knew we needed to walk in this direction, and we knew the last thing there was orange brush.
Yeah.
So we don't know how far up the hill this thing really is. We don't know if it's actually caught in a tree. All we know is that this thing has lights on it.
Yeah.
And it's in orange brush.
And man, we're scrambling, we're running around. I'm like, we went probably like 80 vertical yards up this hill.
It's not even a scramble though. I mean, we were straight rock climbing.
Yeah,
I mean, that was an 80-degree, 90-degree slope. I mean, we're grabbing
didn't feel
boulders.
like it in the moment.
No, and you're looking at it and you're like, that's a wall. I mean, we pretty much climbed this rock face. Like this vegetated rock face. We climb up the top of this, and we're sitting up there, and we're like, well, this looks kind of like the right level, and now we're above
we went too high, which was what we were trying to do, so we could look down.
Yeah.
And I'm skirting like a lower perimeter where I see some good-looking brush. I'm yelling back to Murphy like, hey, it looks good over here. And he's behind me getting like a good overlook of everything. And I'm looking a little further down, and I just hear Murph go, Jake, does it have red lights? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, so I'm way up this hill, probably a good 50 yards behind Jake. So I'm way back there. I don't know how far away I was from that drone when I first saw it, but I'm like, is something is that like a piece of trash reflecting? Like I couldn't figure it out. It's far enough. I don't have super great eyes, so I'm like trying to figure out what am I looking at? This like this shiny red thing. And I remember Jake saying, "Yeah, that thing's got lights." So give him the holler, and so now we're like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Is this thing broken or not? We know it's at least right here, and we can get it. So we're walking towards him like, Jake, I'm not taking my eyes off it. It's right there.
And then I get to it, and sure enough, everything's good on it except for one arm, which out in the wilderness, we're not repairing an arm. It shredded a wire, so the drone is out of operation. Huge bummer for the trip, but when we dropped out of getting the drone, we dropped right back into those first set of pools that Murphy and I had fished, and ended up catching another 3 fish out of there.
You caught 2. I didn't get any. I missed. Okay. I hooked a little squeak and lost it up at the top where you had hooked your first fish that you'd lost.
Yeah, so ended up catching a couple fish right where we dropped out of the wilderness. So that was kind of a cool little like, well, hey, I took your drone, but I'll give you a couple fish. And I actually caught a great one, probably a 16-incher on the swing on a conehead,
Yeah. Yeah, little
green
streamer,
bugger. Yeah.
which is super cool.
Yeah.
So far, the advice from the fly shop guy, which is, have you heard of flies? Use one,
Yeah.
was holding true. We caught fish on dries, we caught fish on midges, and we caught fish on streamers at this point. And this was only the first spot. We've been there for what, 3 hours, maybe?
Yeah. And I mean, the rest of the day, so we hiked out there because we're like, okay, let's go explore some new water. Let's get out of here. We hike out, and I've seen some good boulders in the water. So we go to this really cool, super deep pool that's like
Oh man,
just confined edges to the valley, so it's super deep water.
it's all deep. It's all
Yeah.
hemmed in by these giant boulders, like car-sized boulders.
Murphy
Just-
catches what must have been like 10, 15
I-
right there.
I don't even know how many I caught.
He
I
was
mean,
just smoking
it was
them.
like every cast, these fish are coming 10 feet up to eat this
Yeah.
dry fly. And granted, none of them were very big. I think
Yeah.
maybe
it
the
was
first
just more fun than anything.
the first one might have been a 12-incher, so cool. But it was like every cast, you'd watch these fish come all the way up from the bottom
Yep.
and bloop,
Just
get
smack
it.
it.
It just every time. And they weren't interested in the midge in this hole, but they did want the caddis dry. So
Yeah. So after messing around there for a little while, we then made another move downstream. We were like, okay, let's go fish for one more hour
yeah,
before going to camp before it's nice and sunny. And so we moved down and again find another beautiful looking deep pool. We see some fish eating dries. And honestly, it wasn't a very successful spot, but it was just like every spot out here is so nice that if you can just get one fish out of it, I ended up getting 2 fish out of this area. But
yes.
if you can just get a fish out of it, it's like worth it no matter what. Even just fishing it and not
Oh my
catching
God, just
anything.
looking at it, it's like you're hemmed in by all these yellow aspens and giant towering pines. The colors are perfect right now.
Yeah.
I wasn't even able to comprehend half the stuff I was looking at.
Yeah.
These giant moss-covered boulders, and it is a very scenic spot to fish. So yeah, if you catch them, great. If you don't, well.
Yeah.
But we did catch them.
We
So
did.
every place we went to yesterday, we caught fish.
Yeah.
So we've kept the streak alive and hope to do that today as well. So
Yeah. So after fishing that spot, I caught one more on a dry, one more on a nymph. And then had some chases on that same conehead. Saw a massive bull trout chase the fish I caught on a nymph.
Dude.
It absolutely scared the living bejesus out of me. I thought I was about to hook a salmon.
it's a salmon. It's
It
a
literally
salmon.
looked like a Chinook, which was crazy. But yeah, we ended up finding a campsite that we weren't expecting to get all the way to. We were planning on fishing this stream that we're fishing today, but we were going to camp up high in the mountains.
How many miles did we go on
It
that
must
trail?
have
Was
been
it
20,
20,
15.
20
Yeah.
back in here? I
It
mean,
feels
we were
like more, but it definitely wasn't that much.
the roads, the Forest Service roads.
Oh, my God.
Back in here, I mean, some of these.
Horrific.
Oh, they were bad. They were in real bad shape.
Yeah.
If you don't have a vehicle in some capacity that is equipped for off-road travel, you would struggle back here, and you might
wouldn't
get
make it,
yourself stuck.
yeah.
There were several places where these drops in the road were, I mean,
Huge
12,
washouts,
18
yeah.
inches deep. I mean, really deep. You could almost stick your arm up there to your shoulder and touch the bottom of these. I mean, these are pits in
Yeah.
this road.
Yeah. But yeah, we ended up going all the way down instead of camping up in the mountains, and we found this lovely campsite. Cooked up some delicious ramen,
Oh, man.
and we called it a wrap on day 1
Yes.
of the send.
A very successful day, full of lots of highs and lows, and lots of fish were caught, lots of cool stuff was seen.
Yeah.
Tragedy struck, but ultimately came out on top with a fantastic day. But the icing on the cake actually happened after dinner. We were having a fire, and we've had this running joke because my mom is a space nerd. She's all about like stuff in outer space, shooting stars, comets, northern lights, that sort of thing. So she sent us this whole thing about solar flares happening and had this whole map of where we should expect to see them. And so we are in the circle for seeing them this week. And I look up there and I'm like, man, that's a weird looking cloud because it's just light enough out, but just dark enough. It's like, is that a nighttime cloud? I don't know. And I'm like, I don't think that's northern lights. And Jake looks up. He's like, "You idiot! Those are northern lights. Get your camera out." So
Oh my God.
we take a long exposure shot, and it's really nice and pink. And so now we're mesmerized. We were planning on going to bed a little bit earlier. Now we're like, "Nah, we got to stay up."
Yeah, and I'll put in some of these photos that we got last night from these northern lights, but it was just, they would rotate through. It'd be like 5 minutes of just absolutely incredible light movement, pulsating skies, streaks just zooming across.
You'd be looking up at it, and you'd be blinking. Like, am I actually witnessing what I'm
Yeah.
witnessing? There would be.
It was unreal.
It was like the whole sky was quivering. It was crazy.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
It was truly something to behold. So we had our fire cracking, just staring up into the night sky. Could not have asked for a better end to day one of the Idaho Send.
That was incredible. Hopefully we get that again tonight. But
Yeah.
if we don't, I mean, I'd count that as a once in a lifetime kind of experience, seeing the lights like that. So
Absolutely.
all in all, stellar day. And we've got, 4 more now
Yeah.
to do?
Hope you guys
So-
enjoy day one of the Idaho Send, and it's going to be an exciting day too. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep.